Larry, can I get your reaction to this plea deal that's taking place?
So, as a career United States intelligence professional, my preference would have been for Assange to have faced a judge and jury in America and perhaps served time, depending upon the verdict, in America. But that being said, this plea agreement is fair, it's just, it's not unusual in these sorts of cases to have a plea agreement before you get to trial for a variety of reasons. One could be an effort to protect sources and methods that may be disclosed in the course of a trial. I think in this particular case, you had the diplomatic irritants with the UK and with Australia, and you had the broader question about freedom of the press and whether Assange is or is not a journalist, and that big long debate that could have complicated matters. So in the end, I'm happy. You know, the man, I think personally, I believe, served more time in his self-imposed exile at the Ecuadorian embassy and his time in UK prisons fighting extradition than he probably would have served if he had actually just come over to America, faced the judge and jury, and been convicted. I think he could have actually had less time and maybe rejoined his family even sooner.
So that point of view you described there as a former CIA chief of staff, wanting him to face a judge but accepting that this is the best outcome here. Do you think that is really in line with how the US government pursued this and then sought this plea deal in the end?
Well, as I said, it's not at all unusual for the Department of Justice to seek plea deals in these cases. The security services do not like the material being potentially aired out in an open court. There's always the risk that a defendant or some of their supporters may disclose information in the course of a court proceeding that you would not want to see disclosed because it could potentially impact sources or methods in collecting and reporting intelligence, or perhaps even endanger lives, as you mentioned, or someone mentioned earlier, endanger lives of people that may have been aiding the United States in these missions.
Now, there were no examples of anyone having lost their lives as a result of what WikiLeaks published. That was confirmed in the Chelsea Manning sentencing.
So the issue at play in the court of law would have actually been violation of the law in terms of illegally obtaining classified material and illegally disseminating classified material. This information is classified at various tiers of classification: confidential, secret, top secret, all of which determine the increasing danger to U.S. national security by their disclosure. So no need to actually prove that somebody or something got hurt, but the potential for somebody or something to get hurt exists because of its disclosure.
And you mentioned Australia and US sharing security interests, of course. We also share democratic values. Do you think the US democratic values were challenged by this case?
Well, democracy is, as we all know, is a messy thing at times, and you're always balancing various interests. And there are times in our history when greater emphasis may be put on certain values regarding freedoms of the press, freedoms of assembly, freedoms of liberty. During times of war, some of those freedoms can come under some pressure. Here, clearly, we had significant issues around the notion of freedom of the press. I served 32 years in the U.S. intel community, and I love the United States press, and I love the fact that they will sometimes challenge the behavior of the U.S. intelligence community, the U.S. military, when we actually do operate in excess. They serve as a curb on those things. So, was Assange truly a pure journalist, in benign receipt of material from whistleblowers? I would argue that that's a little bit of a stretch, that, this is an individual who actually actively helped people break the law. He actually provided techniques and tools to individuals to help them break into computers. He helped steer them towards material that he wanted to get. He operated much more like a foreign intelligence service than he did a foreign journalist, for example.